So let's get into today's topic. Here are the 5 top tips for first-time buyers, and you'll excuse me, but I'm going to tell you the obvious. Tip number 1, understand what you can afford. This is important. If you take on too much mortgage debt and put too much of a strain on your monthly or weekly budget, you're going to run into trouble, and that's just going to lead into a load of stress. So make sure that the mortgage payment that you are committing yourself to is a reasonable fraction of your earnings. If you stretch it too far or don't fix the rate, you could find yourself in trouble if, as we've seen recently, interest rates rise rapidly. The second tip is make sure that your stamp duty calculation is correct. It's little known that 1 in 4 stamp duty calculations on purchases are actually wrong. And as many as 40% of all purchases are bought even before offer because the incorrect estimate of stamp duty has been used in the mortgage affordability calculation. If you have a particular property in mind or a particular type of property in mind, it's worth getting it calculated definitively, if only informally, before you go to mortgage application, because that could have a key impact on the first point. That is that you may not get the right figure and actually walk away from a deal that you could well afford. To give you some illustration, and as a shameless plug, we're the largest refunds business in stamp duty in the UK, and we've reclaimed over 15 million in overpaid stamp duty in the last 18 months alone. We consistently find problems with solicitors, mortgage brokers overestimating stamp duty, and as a result are committed to going and getting the money back from HMRC for them. What we can't help with is that 40% of you who actually walk away from the deal and never go ahead with the purchase when you could have done because you had the wrong figure in the first place. And number 3 is understand how you budget and how your budgets can run away with you. New build homes tend to be plug and play to a large degree. They come with guarantees, and so minor repairs and defects are covered out of the developer's costs. If you buy a second-hand home, however, these costs can't be claimed from anybody else. So if you don't have a proper survey and a proper understanding of the state of repair of the property before you buy it, you could be faced with substantial bills for rewiring or indeed a new roof if you didn't have that anticipated before the purchase. In those circumstances, you could be led into financial difficulty simply because you're having to spend money that you hadn't provided for in advance. And if the survey report is sufficiently alarming to you, you can pull out of the deal before exchange, or indeed renegotiate the price down to take into account these future costs that will need to be undertaken. Remembering, of course, that the mortgage survey may well disclose these issues, and the mortgage company may not advance you the full mortgage until these works have been carried out. So it's important to spend a few £100s getting advance warning of these. And if you're unsure, get in a professional to help. Get in somebody with experience to give you a view as to what the costs are likely to be and what is vital and what is just nice to have but not necessary. Moving on to point 4, realise that there are ways to make your home owning more affordable. With the increase in home prices over the last 50 years and the increase and the shortfall in available rental properties, many homeowners are turning to renting a room. Now, this is obviously an intrusion on your family life, but if you vet the room renter carefully, you can end up with an income of as much as £500 a month. If you're paying out £850 a month in mortgage, that's a very welcome contribution to the budget. And indeed, you can earn up to £7,500 a year tax-free using the rent-a-room allowance. And this can help offset the costs of mortgaging, even if you're a first-time buyer. The last point, point 5, don't just buy the property, get to know the area you're moving to. Don't just look at the unit, look at the site. If you're looking at a new build, work out where all the other properties are going to be, whether you're going to be overlooked, whether you back onto a major road, what the levels of noise are likely to be in your area. We've all seen horror stories of people who've bought properties only to find that their back garden's back onto a dual carriageway and the noise levels are extreme. Look at where the local amenities are. If you're a first-time buyer and you're thinking of starting a family, consider shops, consider schools. Are they all commutable or within walking distance? These are all going to be important factors, not only in your life in your new home, but also in the appeal of that property when you come to sell it to move on. You're not going to be the only people starting a family or starting your home ownership cycle. In a few years' time, when you're ready to move up, there will be people exactly like you today in exactly the same position. And important factors such as the proximity of local amenities, the convenience, parks, playgrounds, the views, the noise level, are all going to help raise the value of that property when you come to sell it. Well, those are my 5 top tips. The only thing I would say is do be aware, almost as a point 6, that there are soft costs associated with buying a property. Your legals, your surveys and various agents' fees, etc. And be careful to include those in your budgets as well. There are very many good online resources which can break these down and provide you with forms so that you can budget accurately before committing yourself to the house buying process. It's always the greatest disappointment to enter into this idea of searching for your first home. You get all the enthusiasm in the world, I remember it, only to find that you haven't allowed that several £1,000s, and that stops you from pursuing your dream. Make sure you've got it covered. If in doubt, get advice. That's all I've got to say on this topic. If you like the video, please click like and subscribe. We love subscribers. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below, or indeed, go to our website. You can ask us questions about stamp duty, property tax generally there. Links are in the description below. I've been David Hanna for Cornerstone Group. Thanks for listening.